Ashley Morgan, Alex Trammell, Priscilla Flynn, and Andrew LeFrancois will be presenting their presentation, What's Up with Homework? Reflections on Purpose, Effectiveness, and Barriers to Success at Birch Hill Elementary.
Thank you, James. Good morning, everybody. Thank you again for coming. We are here to talk about homework, especially at our elementary school, Birch Hill. What's up with homework? Reflections on purpose, effectiveness, and barriers to success at Birch Hill Elementary. So we thought we'd get started with a little funny homework comic strip from Calvin and Hobbes.
Aren't you supposed to be doing your homework now?
I quit doing homework. Homework is bad for my self-esteem.
It is?
Sure, it sends the message that I don't know enough. All that emphasis on the right answers makes me feel bad when I get them wrong. So instead of trying to learn, I'm just concentrating on liking myself the way I am.
Your self-esteem is enhanced by remaining an ignoramus?
Please, let's call it informationally impaired.
All right, so here is my dog, and he's a mix of a miniature schnauzer and a poodle, so he's a schnoodle, if you will, and he went through a phase when he was a puppy where he would steal my socks and he would also eat paper, because why not? So here's the tried and true excuse: dog ate my homework.
Who we are, we're four teachers from Birch Hill Elementary School. Again, my name is Priscilla Flynn, and I've been teaching at Birch Hill for 14 years.
And my name's Andrew LeFrancois. It's my second year at Birch Hill, and I teach third grade.
I'm Ashley Morgan. I have been at Birch Hill for 6 years, and I teach 4th grade.
I'm Alex Trammell. I've been at Birch Hill for 4 years, and I teach 4th grade as well. So where we come from, figured since we're so focused on Birch Hill Elementary, which was the whole part of our project, we figured we'd give you guys some demographics. So about 14% of the students at our school are English language learners, and then we also have 37 to around 40% students that are on free and reduced lunches at our school. And to give you a heads up, this is our homework policy that was adopted from the Nashua School District in 2008, basically saying that homework is a constructive tool. It's to help the needs and abilities of our students. It's supposed to be purposeful, organized, and it's not meant to be like a punishment for the children at all.
So as a team, we wondered, does this homework policy fit the needs of all of our students, specifically at Birch Hill? We came up with 3 different surveys in order to collect data, and we had a pretty good outcome. We had 84 out of 84 students participate, 61 out of the 84 parents sent in their surveys, and then 19 out of the 21 teachers also participated in the survey. It is important to note that all 3 surveys were voluntary, informed, and bilingual. Parents were made aware of the student survey and gave their permission for their child to participate in it, and they were also available in Spanish as well as English. So, here are the list of questions that we put on the student survey. Our goal was really to find out what they were struggling with the most with homework, what math concepts they were finding difficult, how much time they were spending on homework a night, and what they felt the purpose of homework was. So this graph shows the different areas they could have picked for what they struggle with or what they find too challenging. And we can see that about 30% of students found confusion between the multiple strategies to be most confusing. That includes, the tape diagrams, the open area models, and things like that we see in our Eureka Math program. But it's also important to note that almost about 25% of students found word problems to be very challenging as well. And then this was also very important, how many students have their parents help them at night with their homework. And we can see that about probably a little more than 50% had put almost never for how often their parents help them with homework. So when you think about those 30% of students that struggle with the concepts and then the 25% that struggle with word problems, they're really not getting that support at home that they might need. So what our students shared with us about what they felt the purpose of homework was. As you can see, most of it is pretty positive. We have some saying it's to practice what we do during the day, to make us smarter. But then we also have some negative aspects as well, like the purpose of homework is to get kids mad, or homework can be stressful. And then this comment we found was a really great reflection of where specifically those struggling students were at. It says, homework is supposed to make us smarter, but I usually get stuck and don't understand and don't finish. When I ask my parents, they don't understand it either, and they don't give instructions clearly. So this child is telling us that, they bring their homework home and they don't get it, and because Eureka is completely new and different, their parents don't really get it either. So they end up being stuck. So basically, what does all this show us, or what does all this mean? It means that our students are struggling at home, or we have a population of students who are struggling at home with word problems, with confusion between the different concepts, and the amount of time that they're spending on homework per night.
Okay, so naturally, after considering input from the student perspective, the next constituent group is our students' parents. Their perspectives, feelings, thoughts, and opinions are not only relevant, but they're key to effective homework practice. So if you take a look at these questions, you can see that the parent survey really closely aligns with the student survey. Many of the questions are twins to the student survey questions, albeit they're worded somewhat differently. So just a quick example, instead of what makes your homework challenging, if anything, the question would be adjusted to read, what makes your child's homework challenging? So our first graph here, we're looking at, do you assist your child with homework? And closely aligned with what we saw in the student graph, we've got roughly 50% reporting that they almost never assist their students with homework. Now, in some ways, this can be viewed in a positive light, that we're achieving some independence at home. We can also speculate that this means that parents aren't always available, particularly with our low-income groups, when we're looking at parents who are working a second job, or they're working that second shift, or they're just not home when it's time to get homework done. If we add up the other groups, every night, most nights, and some nights, we see that we're just about at that 50% for students who are requiring quite a bit of help at home. This shows us, too, that we're not achieving that independent homework practice that we're looking for and that our homework policy strives for. So our second graph, what makes your child's homework too challenging, if anything? Two observations stand out here. Akin to the student graphs, we identify confusion between multiple strategies and word problems as barriers to success. So this is particularly impactful for our English language learners and that population of students that really requires a bit more scaffolding. And we're recognizing that for those groups, we're not necessarily achieving effective homework practice with our current approaches. So a couple examples of parent comments. I really like this first one because of the use of the exclamation point. This parent was passionate about their response. I believe the purpose of homework is to reinforce what was taught during the day. It should be quality over quantity. This ties in with confusion between multiple strategies, our next quotation here. Methodologies keep changing. Inconsistent strategies make it harder. This is where we might hear parents or relatives, or whenever we have conversations about education in our lives, people maligning new math. Well, the math isn't new. It's the way we're teaching it. And we're realizing that, okay, there's an education piece for our parents too. And we want to kind of get out in front of those negative attitudes so we don't feel frustrated at home or in the classroom. And the last one, I would like to see him have homework in other subjects, such as geography, spelling, etc. So at the elementary level, there's a major focus on literacy, reading, and our math homework. So this impact gets felt at home too, where there's a lot of focus on these two areas, and rightfully so in many regards. but parents also recognized, hey, this is different from when I was in school. So some trends that we pointed out here, and you'll readily see similarities to what the students are telling us. So according to our research, parents said what makes student homework more challenging is confusion between multiple strategies and word problems. Really revealing input from a parent here. And I think you can see the parallels with the student comment as well. Some of the math is different. She either doesn't remember how it was done in class or doesn't have the lesson at home. If I try explaining it, she often doesn't understand, since I learned it differently. So we've got students who are feeling some frustration, and we've got parents who are feeling some frustration. Let's take a look at what teachers are thinking about this and what their perspective might tell us.
Okay, so the teacher survey was given to all 21 teachers at Birch Hill School, and similar to the student questions, how often do your students get math homework in a given school week? How often do your students complete the homework in a week? How much time do your students spend a night on homework? And of the following, what makes students' homework too challenging? Vocabulary, multiple strategies, or word problems, and what is the purpose of homework? As we look at this graph, of those students that complete homework, what percentage is completing or practicing effectively? Looking at the bar graph, you can see that 55% of the teachers said that 76 to 100% of their students were practicing and completing their homework effectively. 51 to 75% of the teachers, about 40% of the teachers reported that 51 to 75% of their students completed and practiced their homework effectively. And another teacher reported that students complete their homework and practice effectively 26 to 50%. The teacher trends of those following groups, who do you notice struggles to complete homework, complete it accurately, and require further intervention? As you can see, the graph shows specifically that our ELL students and our students on IEPs are students that need further intervention with their homework. Teacher comments. Some of the comments, I believe that there should be some level of homework. However, I do feel that the struggling student does not benefit from homework that is given. Homework should involve skills and information that is mostly known for practice. When the homework is at the student's frustration level, they actually learn things the wrong way. As a result, it contributes to widening of the gap. And over the years, the amount of homework I assign has decreased. A large part of this is because of the change in our demographics at our school. I don't believe that homework is effective when the students aren't completing it how I would expect and hope for with some parental guidance and assistance. I personally feel that it's not as valued as it once was by parents and is treated more of a nuisance or inconvenience. And the last comment, I think it is important for parents to see how their children work at tasks similar to those in the classroom and be aware of the concepts being taught. Primary children need frequent practice and exposure to listening to reading and reading leveled readers, as well as working with words, both during class and at home. So according to our research, teachers report that most students practice effectively. However, of the students who do not practice effectively, students with IEPs and English language learners are disproportionately impacted. This is where intervention and greater differentiation becomes necessary.
So our conclusion, what we basically came to realize is that one size doesn't fit all. If you think of homework like a dietary supplement, if you take too little, you're going to have no effect. And if you take too much, it could kill you. It's about finding that happy medium, and that's what we have to do for each and every student. We have a quote here. It says, research on the brain, motivation, personalization, and student-centered learning validates the importance of student empowerment and autonomy in learning. So basically what we need to do is make sure that we individualize this homework for each student and find a way to intrinsically motivate our students to do the homework and find that effort to get it completed and learn the steps. Our data shows that most parents, or most students' needs are met with the current homework policies and practices. However, again, it's that ELL population, our low-income population, and our students with IEPs and 504s who really need those extensions in order to succeed in the areas we're looking for. So our next steps is really to empower the student, the parents, and us, the teachers. So we want to create an action plan and reach out to the parents of our community, and we want at the beginning of every year to complete a needs assessment analysis.
So what does that mean for students specifically? That means that teachers should be meeting each student at their own level. They should be provided with differentiated homework assignments. So for example, our higher achieving students could have a project-based homework that goes over a long period of time instead of nightly homework. Whereas our lower achieving students could have modified homework, less word problems, maybe less amount of homework, something along those lines to help them succeed.
So when we look at parents as well, what's underlined here is we need to get them on board. So what this might look like at Birch Hill or other schools, it means offering community outreach and resources such as parent discussion groups, parent homework groups, so that we can be educating parents as well as educating their children. Parents themselves should be offered and be able to take advantage of learning opportunities offered by the school. We know that schools are being asked to do more and more with each passing year. And that's something that as communities we need to grapple with. Looking at our parents' experiences right now, we know that we can bring them in closer. And the way we build a strong school community is we open the doors and we bring people into our schools. Parents need the necessary resources so they're able to see examples of how their child's work should be completed. And we're thinking about here a list of resources which they can access at home. Great Minds videos, which are aligned with Eureka Math, YouTube videos, and Homework Helper. Now, of course, a lot of these are digital resources, which not all of our students will have access to. So it requires then thinking about, okay, what paper copies, what extra supports can we provide to meet the needs of really everybody?
The next steps for teachers, we need to empower our teachers to make the most appropriate choices for their students. At the beginning of the year, it's so important to sit down with your ELL students and get to know their sociocultural dimension at home, what they bring, the assets they bring into the classroom, the level of language, whether they have conversational language or need some help with the academic language. We said that teachers need to focus on the ELL students' backgrounds, interests, funds of knowledge that they bring into the classroom. Sending home dual language books, for those of you who went through the ELL program, sending home dual language books so that they can involve their parents. At conference times, I often hear that parents say, I can sit with my child and then understand the cognates, and so that's also helping the parents get involved with their child's homework. Teachers can also give students time in class to begin their homework so that they have another student that they can use their academic language with before they take it home. In addition, we can use more dual language books, strategies, vocabulary strategies, and as with any new program such as the Eureka Math, teachers need to help their parents understand the language and vocabulary. So as Andrew said, whether we have parents come in or we go to the parents' home and teach them the vocabulary and teach them the strategies, welcome them into the school so that they can understand the new vocabulary associated with the Eureka program. Okay, that's it.
All right, perfect.
So basically, we feel that if teachers, parents, and students all work together, we could make every single child successful, no matter what level they're on. And we agree completely with Yuri Brofenbrenner when he says, the way to improve education in society is to make schooling more central to family and community, while making family and community more central to learning.
Again, we have a little funny comment for you guys with our friend Hobbs here. Hocus pocus, abracadabra, I command my homework to do itself. Homework be done. Rats.
So our last slide here, question and hopefully answers. Of course, and I'm sure Gary let you guys know that all questions needed to be submitted in a yes/no format, and they needed to be in written form last Saturday. So, of course, we're only kidding. So in third grade, we've been writing some haikus. So here's our homework haiku. I want to do well, 5 syllables there. Speaking different language, 7 syllables. Frustration sets in, back to 5 syllables. So with that, if you, and thanks for indulging my poetry there. If you have questions, I think that the last thing that we just want to really underscore here is that homework is working for a lot of students. The homework policy meets the needs of a lot of students. So we're not attacking and we're not blaming. But we are identifying where there's a path forward to make some improvements for our most vulnerable students. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to. Okay?
Yeah, Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.